Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. Let's solve this P1 paper. This is October-November 2025, variant 1-3. Let's get started. First question is about binomial expansion. Binomial expansion of the form a plus b raised to power of n. Remember the formula. It's also written in the formula booklet. When there is a negative sign in the middle, the sign alternates. Take care of the positive negative sign, simplify everything, write everything down, show all possible workings so that you get maximum possible marks. Then it's asking for find the coefficient of x cube in the expansion of a simple bracket multiplying with this. By the way, in the first one, it's asking for ascending powers of x up to and including the term in x cube. That means the first four terms. Now take these first four terms, multiply with these three terms in the bracket, but we are only interested in coefficient of x cube. Constant with x cube with this constant, x with this x square. This is not used. If there was an x squared term over here, it would be multiplied, but in this case, it's not used. So let's grab the highlighter. So the green with the green, and then the purple, this one is the purple one with the purple one, and then there is the orange one, this one with this one, and overall this is the coefficient that we are getting. So question number 1 is done. Question number 2, what is this about? Question number 2 is basic trigonometry. So this is about trig. The first thing, solve the equation tan inverse of 5x minus 3 is negative pi by 4. In other words, 5x minus 3 is tangent of minus pi by 4. Tangent of this value, you can use a calculator, you can use the concept that this is a clockwise angle in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, the value of tangent is negative, basic angle is pi by 4. It's your choice how you want to work it out. It's for 2 marks, you get the value of x. Solve the equation 5 cos square theta plus 4 sin theta plus 4 is equals to plus 4. And this theta lies between pi by 2 and 2 pi. Very strange. Usually it's between 0 and 2 pi, 0 and pi, negative pi and positive pi. But this time this is pi by 2 and 2 pi. So now the thing that we substitute is this thing. That is cos square theta is replaced with 1 minus sin square theta. Simplify. Middle term factorization from this point onwards, we get two values of sin theta. Sin theta is negative 1, sin theta is 1/5. Now when sin theta is negative 1, for special values, we technically use the sketch. So we draw the graph of y is equals to sin theta, and for this particular value, the value of sin is negative 1. Which value is this? 3 pi by 2. Now over here, officially, sin is positive in first and second quadrant, but we will only use the second quadrant because the range is starting from pi by 2 all the way till 2 pi. We find the basic angle, it's in radians, so therefore use 4SF. It's in radians, that's how you know it. Make sure calculator is in the radian mode. So that's the first quadrant, discard, but based upon this first quadrant value, based upon this basic angle, this is pi minus alpha in the second quadrant. One answer from here, take care of accuracy, exact value from here. The third question, yes, they asked this question on and off, and this thing is about differentiation using the concept of first principle, something often overlooked. So look at this question very, very thoroughly. The equation of a curve is given. The following points lie on the curve. Non-exact values of y coordinates are given correct to 6 decimal places. Okay, so that's how they are given. Now there is a point A, 8,72, then 8.001, K, 8.01, and this is the y value, and then 8.1, and this is the y value. Now before we move any further, with respect to 8, this is very close, this is a bit farther, this is a little bit more far and away. The first thing, find the value of k. So just plug in this value in the calculator, take care of accuracy, and you get this answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places as instructed by the examiner. So now you have to follow instructions you have to show all working so that you get your desired A star. Yes, there is only A in AS level. So in AS level, it's only A, but when you get your overall result, and that's the way of getting that A star. The table below shows the gradient of the chords AB. So between A and B, A and C, A and D, and A and D, you have to calculate according to the formula, and this is the answer that you are getting. I've written it over here. I forgot to write it over here, 30.3882. This time it's still 4 decimal places, again 1 mark thing. Now it says state what values in the table suggest about the value of f prime 8. So now this first principle is related to differentiation. Technically what it's saying is that if there is a curve and this is point A, the point closest to A, that will give us the best estimate for gradient. So if we draw a chord, it will give us the best estimate. Since there are 3 options available, we choose the one AB because 8.001 is the closest to A as compared to C as compared to D. So now I have written B is closest to A, gradient of AB, that's the best estimate. So f prime of 8 is this much. I have rounded it off. Next question, what is this about? This is about AP. That is the first question, and it's also GP. So now it says the first, second, and third term of the progression are such and such respectively. Now in the first part, they are saying that this is an AP. So if it's an AP, common difference is the same, second minus first, third minus second. That's how we find the value of K. Very simple. Next, it says given instead the progression is geometric. Now keep in mind, this first statement, that is true for the whole question. This is true for A, this is true for B. In A it was AP, now it's a GP. So now second divided by first, third divided by second, we get this quadratic, we find the value of K. We insert the value of K where it belongs, we find the value of R. The value of A was already given, we find the sum to infinity, which is 40. Very, very simple question. Next question, this is about circular measure. Again, I always emphasize, make sure it's all about radians. So therefore, calculator in radian mode for usage of trigonometric ratios, as well as the formulas. S is equals to R theta. Area is half R square theta for a sector. It's written in the formula booklet MF19 that theta has to be in radians. Whether that radians is in terms of pi or is it in decimals. Now it says the diagram shows part of the circle, center O, radius 4. This is radius, this is radius. The chord PQ, it has a length of 4 root 3. And this angle is theta. This whole thing is theta. The point X lies on the circle. Find the exact value of theta. Now this much of the angle, that is pi by 2. This is half of the whole thing because it's an isosceles triangle. So that's the property. If I drop a perpendicular, it will bisect it equally. So over here, this is 2 root 3, this is 4, this is theta over 2. Theta over 2 comes out to be 60 degrees, actually pi by 3 radians, therefore theta is 2 pi by 3. Someone, if they want to use the whole cosine rule, they are most welcome. Find the exact area of the segment PXQ. So now this PXQ, the whole segment, the major segment, that is basically this major sector plus the triangle. Now, if this thing is 2 pi by 3, therefore this is 2 pi minus 2 pi by 3, which is 4 pi by 3. That's the angle we will use. So now area of the triangle, half AB sine C. The value of sine of 2 pi by 3 is root 3 over 2. We get this thing in the third form. They want the exact area. So keep this in mind. The word exact, that means thirds, that means in terms of pi. Area of the major sector, half r square theta. This is the theta that we are using. This is what we are getting. There is no difference. It's a sum of these two. That's how you get this answer. Next question. This is about what? This is about functions. It was slightly tricky, slightly difficult. Now it says the diagram shows the graph of y is equals to x cubed. That's this original graph. And this is y is equals to fx. It looks exactly like this, but with a twist. The graph of y is equals to x cubed is transformed to the graph of y is equals to fx by a sequence of transformations. Now, they're not specifying how many. 2 transformations, 3 transformations. They are not specifying it. Describe fully a suitable sequence of transformation. Make clear the order in which the transformations are applied. Now, the very first thing that I do is that, of course, there is a point 0, 0. There is this corresponding point, but it won't make that much of a difference. Now, look over here. There is a change of 1 unit. There is a change of 1 unit over here. So, technically, this point is 1, 1. Now, over here, if there is a change of 1 unit, now the change is of 2 units. So, from here, the very first thing that I observe is that, yes, there is a stretch. It's parallel to y-axis. Scale factor is 2. Therefore, if I take the point 1, 1, the y coordinate will be multiplied by 2, so it will become 1, 2. So 1, 1 will become 1, 2. Now this 1, 2 is transformed to the right, it's transformed down. So we can say 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 units down. And that is what I'm getting, 3 and negative 4. So now this next thing, this is translation. This HK, that is translation. You can write it as one vector. So what is the order? First stretch parallel to y-axis and the scale factor is 2, and then translate. You can write horizontal, vertical separately, or you can say translate with translation vector. What is the vector? 3 and negative 4. That's how this thing is done. Now it's saying, now it's giving us the hint that that's how the equation can be written. Fx can be written as this. State the values of the constant a, b and c. So now first I have stretched. So basically this a is this 2 because of the scale factor 2. And plus b, it's moved 3 units to the right, but it's written with a negative sign. And it's moved 4 units down. There is this thing. So technically, if they want me to state the values separately, yes, they are asking state the values. So what is a? A is 2. What is b? Negative 3. What is c? Negative 4. That's how this is done. Next question, what is this about? Again, functions. That was transformation of functions. This is like G inverse and all these kind of things. So this is like inverse kind of thing. This functions, this is like the transformation aspect. So now this is like 5 marks and 3, 8 marks, lot of marks. This is 4 marks. So 8 plus 4, 12 marks out of 75 altogether. So far, the function g is defined by gx is 2 over ax minus 3 plus half x is greater than 3 over a, where a is a positive constant. Find g inverse of x. That's one part. Hence, verify. Verify means plug and check. If a is 6, then g inverse of x is the same thing as g of x. So now we will write let y is equals to g of x. Therefore, g inverse y is equals to x. That's the traditional way that we do it. So replace gx with y. Do the simplification. Make a the subject, actually x the subject. Once x is the subject, so x is technically g inverse of y. But we have a habit of writing everything in terms of x, so we will write it like this. G inverse x is such and such. This thing is done. Now the next part, that is about this thing, which is when a is 6. Okay, now this won't work. When a is 6, g inverse of x is, this is where a is substituted. And in g inverse, that's the only a, and this simplifies to this thing. So that is what we are getting. Similarly, if we plug in a is equals to 6 in the original equation, and this is where the a is, so that's right over here. So therefore, this thing is plugged in over here. And then we simplify and we get the same thing. That is how we prove it. So, I mean, there is no rocket science in this. It's just kind of algebra. The next question, question number 8. What is this about? This is about coordinate geometry, and in coordinate geometry, this is about circle. And of course, it's about circle as well as the concept of line is naturally asked. It says find the equation of a circle. These 2 points, they haven't labeled it. I have labeled it. So let me label one of them, the 6, 1 as A. Let me label a negative 2, 7 as B. You can name it yourself. They are the opposite ends of the diameter of a circle. Find the equation of a circle. A very, very traditional question. Find the midpoint of these two endpoints. That becomes the center of the circle. So let me label of the over here, that is center of circle. And then from the center till one of the point. So whether it's from M till A, that is the radius, M till B, that is the radius. So this thing is the radius of the circle, the distance formula. And then we write x minus h whole square, y minus k whole square is r square. So I can write 25 directly, or I can write 5 square like this. That's how the equation is obtained. Now the next part, that is also a very nice question. There are two tangents to the circle which have gradients negative half. So I've just drawn a realistic diagram. That is the center. One tangent is going like this. The other one is going like this. Technically, these two tangents are parallel. So there is a red tangent. There is a blue tangent. Now they both have a gradient which is negative. Find the exact values of the x coordinate of the points at which these tangents touch the circle. So let me label one point as Q, the other point as R. And remember, we have done something like this in the regular class in the super crash course. So now the center is given. And we know that this gradient is negative half. Therefore, gradient of this line is positive 2. The center of the circle is 2, 4. So I can label M as C also. So M, if I want to, I can label it as C also. So we have the gradient, we have the coordinate, we can find the equation y is equals to 2x. Now this line intersects the circle at 2 points. One of them is Q, the other one of them is R. So now we have x minus 2 whole square, y minus 4 whole square is 25. Instead of y, write 2x. Y is equals to 2x. So this is 2x over here. By mistake, I've written a y. Let me correct myself. So over here, this is 2x. I have corrected it like this. And then I have taken common. Now, one usual way is to just expand and solve it out. I played a bit cheeky. I took 2 common out, x minus 2 whole square. So 2 square becomes 4. This is 1 of this bracket. This is 4 of this bracket. That's why you are getting 5 of this bracket. So let me write it over here. This is x minus 2 whole square. This is 4 bracket x minus 2 whole square. This is technically 5x minus 2 whole square. That is how this thing is obtained. If someone is taken by surprise, that's the kind of maths that I teach. And then x minus 2 whole square is 5. Take the square root plus minus 5. Make x the subject. So the coordinates are 2 plus root 5. That is one x coordinate. 2 minus root 5. That is the other x coordinate. This is question 8. Question 9. What is this about? This is about volume of a solid of revolution. And naturally, this is about integration. Now, there is a line which is at the top. There is a curve over here. There are 2 points of intersection. So in order to find this volume, the very first thing that we need to do is to find these coordinates. That is simultaneous. That's the equation of the curve. That's the equation of a line. Y is equals to 4.5, which can be written as 9 over 2. So half x plus 4 over x is 9 over 2. First thing, multiply throughout by 2. So this 4 becomes 8. Then multiply by x. You get a quadratic. You do middle term factorization, the heart and soul of maths. And we get two values. X is 1, x is 8. So this is 1, this is 8. Now line is at the top. The volume produced by line, and is it around the x-axis? Yes, it's around the x-axis. Volume produced by this line will be more. Volume produced by the curve will be less. Calculate each and then subtract. So now this is volume produced by the curve. That is the limit 1 and 8. pi is there, whatever the equation is, don't forget to square. So the very first thing is squaring it. That is a square plus 2ab plus b square. This is 16x minus 2. And then integrate each term, simplify. I should write one more step over here. That is pi. And this is x cube over 12. This is 4x. This is minus 16 over x. And then the limit 1 and 8. So there was one step which I kind of missed. And then we plug in the values. So therefore we plug in 8 over here, plug in 8, plug in 8, plug in 8. We plug in the other one, that is 1 over here. This is 1, this is 1. And the rest is simplification. This is volume under the line. That is 9 over 2 is written. It's being squared. It's 81 over 4. Integrate. X appears. Take 81. Take 4. Pi was already on the outside. Plug in the upper limit, lower limit. We get this thing. So line volume minus curve volume, and this difference, that is your answer. Next one, what is this about? This is again about functions. But in functions, this is written as a function, but technically it looks like quadratic. So this one is quadratic. Yes, there is function also, the range thing, and then lots of quadratics. So it's functions just a bit, but quadratics a lot. So now what does it say? It says a function f is defined by such and such. X is an element of real numbers. That means all real values of x. The first part. Now this statement is true for everything. So let me highlight it. This whole thing is true for part A. It's true for A part 1, A part 2. It's true for part B. Of course, the values would change. So that's how this thing is there. So now very first thing, we plug in the value of P and Q. In the first one, we plug in P and Q. So this P, that is 2. Let me highlight it. This is plugged in. And Q, that is 10. And it's about completed square form, nothing special. The next thing is that they are asking for the range. So the domain of this function is all real values. So now what we can do is that if we want, we can draw a small sketch over here just to give you the idea. The turning point is obtained by comparing it with our gold standard ax minus h whole square plus k. So now this thing, we just draw it like this. This is minus 1, comma 8, something like this. So now over here, this is negative 1. This is 8. And the range is greater than or equal to 8. That's how it's written. It's not necessary to draw the diagram. If you do, that is good. Now it is given instead. What is given now? It is given instead that Q is negative 5. So only Q is replaced. So now over here, the Q is replaced. P is still unknown. And it says the roots of fx is equals to 0 are 5m and negative 9m. That means root means if I plug in this x coordinate in the function, the y value is 0. If I plug in negative 9m, y value is 0. The function value is 0. Now look at the working. Looks very weird, very complicated, but it's not. So p times 5m whole square, 4 times 5m minus 5 is equals to 0. This is the simplification. Similarly, plug in negative 9m. This is the simplification. Now there is m square, there is m, there is p. So let me make p the subject. So I have made p the subject. This p equals to this thing. And over here, p equals to this thing. Those two things are equated. I get a cubic equation without any m term, without any constant. So I took m square common out, m is 0. And then over here, m comes out to be 1 over 9. Okay. And it says that m is a constant. Of course, m cannot be 0. Because otherwise, these two values would be the same. So therefore, that is why we reject this value. And that is why we accept the value m is equals to 1 over 9. We plug in one of the equation, we find the value of P, and P comes out to be a beautiful 9. So final answer M is 1/9 and P comes out to be 9. That is the final answer. Now we are on the last question, and this question is about differentiation. So this is all about differentiation. And this is like about differentiation, stationary points, the x coordinates, the nature, all these things that is being asked for. So now it says the equation of a curve is y is equals to 8 and this thing is taken up. That's how it's written. This thing is taken up, that's how it's written. The first thing, find the coordinates of the point at which the tangent to the curve at this point intersects the line y is equals to minus 8x. So yes, not only its stationary point, it's also that gradient of tangent is dy by dx. It's also about coordinate geometry. So it's all in one question. So now the first thing, that is application of chain rule. That is -1. Let me highlight it. -1 comes down, bracket remains as it is, power reduces by 1 into derivative of bracket. And then this -1 comes down, power reduces by 1, and then don't forget to multiply by derivative of bracket, even if it's as obvious as 1. No harm in writing it. And then you simplify it like this. That's the first thing. Let me take you to the next page. So now in the next page for part 3, the same equation is written again, and we are differentiating it again. So now again this -2 comes down and multiplies, x minus 1 remains as it is, power reduces by 1 into derivative of bracket. And over here similarly this -2 comes down, bracket remains as it is, power reduces by 1 into derivative of bracket. So I just wanted to emphasize together, the first derivative is calculated, second derivative is calculated. Got the idea? So that's how this thing is done. Now let me plug in the value of 3. So if I plug in 3 over here, the value of dy by dx is -45/2. Expect the unexpected. Things do happen like this. Equation of tangent y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1. So this is x1, this is y1, this is the gradient. There is no need to simplify. You need to solve simultaneously with y is equals to -8x. So this y is substituted with -8x. Simplify, we find the value of x, we find the value of y, that is the coordinate at which the tangent intersects the line. So we find equation of tangent, we solve it simultaneously with the equation of a line, that's what we get. Just follow the instruction. The next one, find the x coordinates of each of the stationary point. Dy by dx equals to 0, that is the concept of stationary point. So when dy by dx is equals to 0, this thing is transferred to the other side. The negative cancels out. Now also focus on this one, 24 divided by 6, that gives me 4. Also focus on this. This x minus 1 whole square goes over here, and this thing 3x minus 8 whole square, that goes on this side. Again, middle term factorization, that is part and parcel, happens every time. And we get two values of x. One of the value is 2, the other value is 6. Are they asking for coordinates or just x coordinates? Just x coordinates. So again, read question carefully in the beginning naturally, so that you know what to do, and also at the end, so that you know exactly whatever the examiner has asked, you have fulfilled the purpose. And then it's asking for determine the nature. So that is the second derivative, d square y over dx square, that is the second derivative. Now you would be plugging in x is equals to 2, second derivative is negative, it's a maximum. You plug in 6, second derivative is positive, it's a minima. And that's how we complete this paper, which is October-November 2025, variant 1-3, all done and dusted, so that you are all set for your grade that you truly deserve. Just follow the rules and the guidelines that I provide at Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. Take care, everyone.